Hang in there, it is! Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. We got Harry Higgs, a.k.a. The Big Rig, joining us here today. Harry, I was actually wondering what shirt you were going to wear today, what sunglasses you were going to wear, because I was going to be so disappointed if we didn't have the unbuttoned buttons like we have today. So luckily, all the folks watching on YouTube get to see that. But the sunglasses are not on, so I don't even know who this is. It could be Harry, could be an accomplice, but we have got to start with the side of your face. Like what's happened here?
Yeah. My appearance has changed a little bit. We had this plan for a little over a month. I had some skin cancer removed yesterday morning. Nothing major, very easy procedure. I was awake the whole time, didn't feel a darn thing. But I've got to keep this kind of ridiculous looking Band-Aid on until noon today, when I can then shower and redo the Band-Aid. I got to keep a Band-Aid on my face for 10 days, but the ladies that did the procedure said that I should be good to go play golf next week. And I was trying to convince them that I could obviously have had some success the last 2 weeks. I was trying to convince them, like, let me out and I'm going to fly to Raleigh and try to win a third. They were not too keen on that idea.
Wow. How about that? So it was just a little bit of skin cancer that stopped the run of Harry Higgs right now. Yeah,
eventually I do have to, and I've been doing better. Eventually I got to be a real person. Got to take care of myself. Maybe have a week at home to do maybe things like this, or get some stuff in the house in order, or make sure my now wife is everything's okay. So very fortunate to have some nice results the last 2 weeks, so I don't really have to sweat sitting at home. Yeah. Although, yes, I apologize that I do look ridiculous. Everything's intact and nothing. Over time, I'm just going to have a little tiny scar. Maybe it make me look tough. But reminder to all the golfers out there, we spend a lot of time outdoors in the sun. It's probably a good idea to go get your skin checked.
Absolutely. I know Justin Thomas has had a issue on the back of his leg, and he's got a pretty gnarly scar from it now. And like to your point, I wish I would have worn more sunscreen when I was a kid. Now I'm lathering up every single day. And you actually were saying that maybe your sunglasses are a reason that, like, it's almost like frying your skin.
That's a theory. I don't know that it was proven, but I always had like a little spot right underneath where obviously my sunglasses would hit, and to me, it almost felt like it was like the side of the sunglasses were acting as a reflector and just kind of like, I guess, quote unquote, burning kind of the side of my face here. The other side is all good. We had that checked and it was all good. So it was nice that it's just one side. We caught it obviously super early, and I will have no complications other than maybe looking a little ridiculous for the next few days.
Right. And Harry, you like you said, you just won back-to-back weeks. First off, congratulations from not only myself, but Charlie Hulme, who currently is a producer and co-host on this podcast. We were both so excited to see you get the dub. But I think, you've become viral, and you'd like it to be for winning, but it was your words speaking upon the recent passing of Grayson Murray. And I know Grayson was a friend of you, also a friend of me, but we're going to play a quick excerpt from your winning speech in Knoxville. It's about a minute long, and we're going to have you react after, just from all of the words and texts that you've received since this excerpt and speech.
I would challenge everybody here, and I'm going to do this myself as well. Each day, say something nice to someone you love. And also, make it a point to say something nice to somebody you do not even know. The world is a very difficult place. Thank you. The world is difficult and only getting more difficult. I've been blessed with great parents and a great support system, and I haven't had, other than some frustration at times, any battles mentally. But Lord knows how many people do, and it's only ever increasing. So if we can, everybody here could be a difference, the difference, brighten up somebody's day. it could mean the world.
That's very well said, Harry. I mean, you couldn't. I imagine those words and those thoughts were weighing pretty heavily on you from Grayson's passing. But since, I mean, that tweet that the Korn Ferry put out has 2.8 million impressions. So this is spread way past the game of golf. You see Scott Van Pelt also reaching out and tweeting how great it was. Who all have you heard from, and how are these last weeks gone from those words?
Yeah. Man, who all have I heard from? Darn near everybody. And most everybody, it was, and as it should be, it was a quick and short congratulations on my success, but then also, I guess in a way, a congratulations and just an appreciation that I took the time to kind of obviously honor Grayson, but also try to put some good out in the world. I have been good on my challenge for the last couple days. I'm going to try to live it day by day. There were some folks that aptly did point out that I forgot, if we say there's basically two levels of kindness in my challenge, the kindness to a stranger, kindness to a loved one. Some folks did aptly point out that there probably should be a third, that I missed in the moment there, but kindness to yourself, say something nice to yourself each day, which I think that's kind of the whole point of mental health. Again, I don't really have much experience with any sort of struggles, but there are, millions that do. And, maybe even just a kind word to yourself as you end a day, as you start a day, is a great way to do it too. But, it's been pretty, I would say I get, selfishly pretty awesome to hear from a ton of people, to hear their appreciation for, one, me obviously honoring Grayson, and then also just saying what I said. I've even gotten some emails from some folks that have experienced mental health or have lost people that they love to suicide. I have dealt with that in my own family, in kind of our friend circle. People growing up, there are people that were really, really struggling and didn't maybe have the outlets that they needed to get help. And quite frankly, I mean, this is my opinion and my selfish opinion on it. I'm tired of hearing of people that maybe struggle and don't know of a way to get through that struggle. Again, I do not have experience with it. So I don't want to come off as brash, but I certainly am tired of hearing it. And if I can use, I guess, quote unquote, my platform to make a difference in somebody's life or somebody's day, somebody's mental health, I think that's far worth it. It's that is the more important stuff than winning a golf tournament and, woe is me. It's as Smylie, we can get caught up in our own little worlds. You can get caught up in,
sure can.
Yeah. I mean, and that's okay too. We're human beings and we're all pursuing something. It's okay to be caught up in your own little world and be selfish at times. But I just thought, what a great opportunity to honor Grayson and then kind of shift things maybe from selfless or selfish to selfless, and to kind of spread some love in the world through just some simple kindness day by day.
And Harry, you and I both were friends with Grayson, and I'm sure there's maybe a story or a moment in your relationship with Grayson that maybe sticks out over the years. Is there anything that you could tell us about Grayson that maybe people didn't know about him, or just something that maybe you've had some reflection time to be like, man, I either saw the signs or man, Grayson was such a great dude because he said this to me X day. Is there anything for you that comes to mind?
It wasn't anything specific. And I hadn't seen Grayson in probably 2-3 years. He was playing some on the Korn Ferry Tour while I was on the PGA Tour, and then he had his success and we kind of flip-flopped, right? So it's,
that's right. That's a good point.
It's one of those things that if you're not playing in the same tournaments, you don't really see them, you don't really hear from them. I don't think the countless encounters that I have with him, I don't think he ever didn't have a smile on his face. And then just like overall the way that he carried himself, I know that obviously he was dealing with with some difficult things. But man, he never didn't have a smile on his face, and I really, really appreciated. And it's not really a laughing matter, but I appreciated how open and honest he was. I mean, how difficult it must be. Obviously, he had some success last year on the Korn Ferry Tour, and then into this year on the PGA Tour, some unbelievable success. And he, at every turn, used that moment to shed light on the struggles that he has had, the struggles that others may be having. That's kind of what ran through my head really even Saturday evening before, obviously, I was fortunate enough to win, was like, I mean, if he can do that, if he can shed light on his struggles and other struggles while he's having success or while he's not even having success. I mean, it's almost like he always referred it back to, look, I have struggled before. I'm in a better place now. Others are continuously struggling. They need help. People need help. I found that obviously inspirational. So that's kind of what led me to take that moment. It doesn't need to be about me. It certainly was about me just the week prior in Kansas City, obviously winning in my hometown. There's no way around that. But it doesn't need to be about me. It needs to be about others. And then obviously with the sad news, it also needs to be about honoring Grayson this last week.
Yeah, and the challenge that you asked for those listening to partake in is something that I fully believe in. I try to do every day and will continue to try to do. So thank you for putting those words in the air, and I'll try to follow up with you on this. And when I watched this video way back when you won, I believe it was in Springfield. Is that correct? You won in Springfield. And I could just see the joy on your mother's face and your face. You could definitely tell you're a mama's boy, by the way. That was pretty obvious right from the get-go. But you just won at your hometown, and I could tell how important your family is to you. And going and looking at just where you grew up, and I didn't realize you were born in New Jersey, but live in Kansas. You grew up in Kansas City. And now you live in Dallas. You went to SMU. So there's a lot of crazy factors here. So he's got an Eagles fan that grew up in Kansas, but you live in Dallas now. And now we have the Stars. You got the Mavs. Where are we in the sports world with Harry Higgs? Because you got so many different trees that pulling you in.
Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles. There is no waiver there. I am not a Chiefs fan. I am not a Cowboys fan. There is no waiver there. And we did, my now wife, obviously her family, all of the friends of mine growing up in high school are massive Chiefs fans. So the Eagles and the Chiefs a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl was tough.
Yep.
That was one that I would have really liked to have won. Not that I had to, say I would have won it. I didn't have anything to do with it.
No, it's you. It's you.
Well, I mean, a 0.01% maybe.
There you go.
But in terms of, we're going to go to the game. What is it? Game 5. What's today? Wednesday. We're going to go to the game here, the Stars game, Friday night. In terms of all the others, I would wholeheartedly hand up. I am as fair weather as it gets. I'll be rooting on the Mavs. I'll be rooting on the Stars, much like I would be if the Sixers were winning or the Flyers were winning. I'd be rooting them on.
Just a good hometown guy.
Yes, I'll go hometown on everything other than football. The Eagles are, I guess you'd say, I bleed green through and through. I mean, there's as I'm sure most everybody, if they've obviously encountered an Eagles fan or maybe seen what some Eagles fans are capable of, there is no waiver there. It's Eagles are bust, and then I'll be a fair weather fan just about everything else.
Well, I wore my Pine Valley hat today in support of your Philadelphia Eagles.
I've got a little bit of coffee in a Pine Valley cup, too.
Sure. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I definitely had to wear a little bit of Philly gear just to make you feel comfortable here on the podcast today. But, I'm really curious, too. So how did you end up at SMU? That's, you have all of these different ways of where you could have gone. And how'd you end up in Dallas?
Probably just dumb luck. You know how it kind of goes. I mean, you experienced it. I was fortunate to be recruited by, 10-ish programs. And then, as I get older and older, and high school, it kind of continues and and recruitment and phone calls and letters and everything. And then the coach at the time here at SMU, Jay Lohr, who was just there for my first year while I was in school. He was the only one that came up and visited us in Kansas City at our house. I remember we finished dinner, and I didn't know where I was going to go to school or anything like that. It was probably the fall of my senior year. And we finished dinner, and he just asked, will you, come play for me and come to school at SMU. And I was just kind of thought in my head real briefly that, well, yeah, of course I will. You're the only one that's made all this effort to come up here. I mean, I'm not going to disappoint you and make you go all the way home. And then, when you do show up to school, you never really know, I don't think, at least for a couple of years, if you made the right decision. But I certainly found early on that I did make the right decision. And then, post school, it just makes so much sense to stay here in Dallas. Obviously, it's a little
It's central,
nicer weather than Kansas City, although we get some weird kind of crappy days in the winter. But the dumb luck of how easy it is to travel out of here, that obviously even throughout college, I didn't realize, because all we had to do was show up on time to the airport. I wasn't booking any of the flights then, but it's nice that there are next to none kind of destinations that I would have to stop or connect in. It's almost, I can get almost anywhere in the world nonstop, which makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, totally. And the coach the rest of your time there it was Josh Gregory, correct?
Yes. Yep. His 3 years at SMU were my last three. So Jay was great. I really appreciated him, obviously in his recruitment. Jay was a little older and at times maybe harder for me personally to not get along with. We got along with great, but kind of, I guess, for me to kind of process his message to me about how he thinks that I should get better. And then it was just the total opposite with Josh. He was, just the fact that he was younger. He had recently just won 2 national championships at Augusta.
You're like, something's right here.
Which makes it a little easier to, I guess, listen for some young, dumb kid that thinks he knows everything. And then, I was very fortunate with all the coaches I had, high school, college, even post-college, that they were always pushing me to be better. And I got a ton of great information from them that, I still use to this day.
Yeah, and I go back and look at pictures from that team, and you see a lot of familiar faces. You see Josh Gregory, who coached Patrick Reed. He coaches so many tour players on the PGA Tour now, whether it's their short game, their long game, it's their performance side. So Josh Gregory, obviously one of the better coaches probably ever to coach in college, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say I'm a homer, but I'd say in golf in general, especially with the success he's had, post leaving SMU.
So you have a guy like Josh Gregory, who is an incredible coach, but you look at the rest of your team, you're like, okay, recognize that guy, Bryson DeChambeau, and then Austin Smotherman, there's Harry Higgs. And I just think about being in a atmosphere like that, which is, you have a lot of different personalities. Bryson is, I can't imagine, is the perfect college golf teammate, because he's wired totally differently than probably anybody you've ever met. But I'm sure there's things that you've learned while you're in school from Bryson that made you better. And then probably things that Bryson learned from somebody like you, who's really relaxed, really chill. Yeah. Hey, let's just go play golf. What practice does Harry Higgs need to do? I'm just going to go make birdies. Where Bryson, I'm sure, how many times did y'all need to take different vans and buses just to make sure that he wasn't practicing till the end of the day, right?
Countless times. It was eye-opening, and I was 2 years older than both Bryson and Austin. So I just had 2 years with them, and I was kind of, at that time, the elder statesman on the team. And as I'm sure you could imagine, I certainly would voice my opinions on some things, maybe more often than I should. In terms of Bryson as a teammate, he really was great. He was super young, super into just his golf. So it was like, it was always odd for me. I mean, it felt like he never turned it off. And it's like, man, why don't you also enjoy, this great school we go to, your teammates, everybody else. And then over time, we got him to show up more and more to some, team dinners, team hangouts. And I really enjoyed my 2 years with Bryson. In terms of what I learned from him, it was like just blanket, simply work ethic, because it just never stopped. He was very driven to be the best golfer in the world when he showed up at SMU at 18. Another thing was he just really couldn't be budged. Obviously, he does things different, single length irons, just kind of the way he attacks the game and how he approaches getting better at it. He couldn't really be influenced. He stuck to his guns, and it was, if he was going to make it work, we did. His freshman year, we got him for like 3 months to use just a normal length lob wedge. The wedges were the part that I never really understood. They're just so long, and it's, it just becomes a little harder to chip and control your distances on distance wedges and the like. He did. I'd say for about 3 months, he used a normal length lob wedge, and then he just said, like, I'm going to go back to what I know. And he worked, tirelessly to master it. He was always chipping, always just trying to find a way to use what, a lob wedge that was, I think it was always like 7.5 iron length. It was really pretty incredible, man. And he pushed me not directly, but indirectly to work harder and harder and harder. And then obviously he was a world beater when he showed up and had great success in college. So selfishly for me, it's like, I'm the old guy. I want to be the guy here, which I never was. He was always way better than I was. But selfishly, it just got to the point where it was like, all right, well, if I just beat Bryson, I'm gonna at least finish in the top 5. Yeah, I'm gonna have a chance to win. So he motivated in a kind of shown way, show the example of how to work hard, how to prepare. Whereas maybe I would motivate some of the guys, and I don't pretend that I had much of an effect, but I would motivate more as the tell, though I'm going to tell you how to do this. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed my time at SMU. I definitely think I would like to think had I gone somewhere else, I would still be able to be sitting here talking to you, having had some modicum of success in professional golf. But I think SMU was massive for me in the relationships that I made with my teammates, my coaches, and even the folks here in Dallas that were crucial in helping me play professional golf when there was no money in it, mini tour stuff and whatnot. I've got a great support system that extends far and wide, both in Kansas City and here in Dallas.
Yeah, I played with you guys in SMU at Cabo one year at Corinthia. I'm not sure if you were playing that week. I was paired with Austin Smotherman, and he hit every single fairway. I'm like, this guy doesn't miss the middle of the face.
He doesn't. I don't think he has since. He's pretty impressive, and he was always so much fun to be around. Austin is at Trinity Forest here with me as well now, so I see Austin all the time. Right. He is so good. I really truly feel like he's obviously much like everybody else, just trying to navigate professional golf and find ways to get better little bits here and there. But I would say he is somebody that I would highlight and circle. He gets a couple good results and just gets some confidence in his abilities. And I think the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's a tremendous ball striker. And we just refreshed my memory just about Bryson's game in college and amateur golf, because he's been in like all these different zones in which he was the short guy that hit it really straight. Then he was the beefy dude that hit it long. Now he's kind of a mix of both. Yeah. And when he got to college, was it like his iron game was what was so dang good, right? He just hit exactly where he was looking.
I think he was definitely not long, not like he is now. Yeah. I think we would go to tournaments, right? Let's say we went to 5 tournaments in 8 weeks, and we would all play a practice round together, and you'd stand on a tee, and it's okay. Well, our target is, that tree out in the distance. And then you'd stand there on the approach, and it's like, hey, when the kind of thinking about what it's going to be like in the tournament, okay, that flag's going to be back right. we don't want to, maybe that's not one we attack. We're going to just keep it in line with the other tree, 15 feet left of it. And I swear, man, for months on end, wherever you told him that it was going to go, it just went there. Yeah, it was, and I know that he's done some swinging, I guess, robotically and some studying, but it was robot golf. It was unbelievable. And then if he ever, chipped and putted halfway decent, he had a chance to win. It was remarkable. He early on, I think his freshman year, midway through his sophomore year, he probably had, upwards of 10 top tens. And he just needed to kind of not be so hard on himself, right? Not get so frustrated if things didn't go his way. And then once he kind of understood the mental side of the game and was working on that, boom, he just started winning everything. Yeah. So it was impressive, man. He could make you feel like, how am I ever going to beat this guy? And I got him a couple times, but
heck yeah.
He was so impressive.
Oh, the big rig is a heck of a player himself. Don't let him short you here, because this guy can play. And when you got onto the PGA Tour, can you just talk a little bit about those first couple of years? Because you had some success. Don't get me wrong, but when you showed up out there, did you feel ready to go? Did you feel like you could win? And just anything you may have learned in those first couple of years.
I would say those first couple of years, man. My mind went to before my first year on the PGA Tour, 2019, I believe, I had done 2 years of the PGA Tour Latin America, a year on the Korn Ferry Tour, a couple of years of mini tour golf, and had just kind of seen this like steady ascent. Certainly my game had gotten better every year, but by the time I got out on tour, it's like, well, none of these guys did the hard stuff like I did, which is untrue. Most of them did the hard stuff, but my mind went to, well, none of these guys went to these places that I went and yada, yada, yada. So it just gave me like almost a shot of confidence, kind of the avenue that I took to get there. And, it was nice also. Early on, I think my first handful of events, I finished in the top 20, top 10, finished second in Bermuda, my first fall, which was, boom, it was also eye-opening that I teed off with a 2-shot lead. I believe it was a 2-shot lead. I shot 3 under and lost by 4 or 5 to Brendan Todd, who shot 61.
Welcome to pro golf, right?
That was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is... no offense to Brendan Todd, who's now a friend, but I was like, I didn't even really know who this guy was, and he was 10 under through 11. It was whoa. I realized quickly how hard it was to win. I would have said, I had much more confidence in my abilities and kind of what I did and how I prepared and how I played the game my first 2 years. And then the next couple years where I struggled a little bit more, I maybe didn't have the same confidence in my abilities because I let myself get too down on myself, with some of the results that I had. It's okay, man. It's hard. You're gonna miss a couple cuts in a row where you felt like you played some good golf, or you felt like you played really awesome golf, but you only finished 40th. I kind of lost I lost the positivity and the eternal optimism that I almost always had. And that led me to struggle a little bit. And I think it prolonged my struggle as well, in those kind of second couple years. And it does feel like now I've kind of snapped out of that, and I need to remember to
seems so
just, not let it get back to that spot. I show up to golf tournaments, as ridiculous as it may sound, to win. I prepare to win. So just get out of your own damn way and, let's see what happens.
In those first couple years, I was actually reading this article that Gabby Hertzig wrote about you. I'm not sure if it was last year, but at the very end of the article, it was a really great story about Pebble Beach, in which you bogeyed the last hole and you end up making a big paycheck, which is something that if you've ever gotten the text of a big paycheck from the PGA Tour, it's like, okay, this is pretty sweet. Where were you when you got that text? And tell us a little bit about the cookies.
Yeah, that was probably my 6th or 7th event. whatever. It was early part of my rookie season, and I was having a nice Sunday. I had a good week all week and a nice Sunday. It was a very difficult day at Pebble. It was pretty firm, pretty windy, and I think I was maybe a couple under par through 17 and teed off in like 25th and moved up to, I think I was in the top 10 and just striped it down the fairway underneath,
huge,
just past the damn tree. And so
you're
we're
thinking
waiting.
birdie, you're thinking eagle.
Oh yeah. Now it's like in my mind, I'm just going to I didn't have a great lie underneath the tree. Obviously it's shaded and the grass doesn't grow as well. Not
and
underneath
you're wearing
the
sunglasses.
Tree. Well,
and
you're
wearing sunglasses.
Yeah. The shade and me and the sunglasses. And I'm just kind of in my mind, like, this lie's not great. It's kind of in two off the right. I'm just going to hit a low, almost choppy 3-wood into the front bunker for the front flag. I'm going to get it up and down, and I'm going to finish maybe, anywhere from 5th to 8th. And we have obviously a long wait at Pebble. I'm in a foursome without any
you don't
AMs.
say.
But there's some AMs chopping it up there on the green in front of us, and it takes freaking forever. And so time comes to hit the shot, and I chunk hook it in the water. And then I guess after that, I drop and hit like a 6-iron on the green and make a pretty decent 6, you'd say.
That's a great 6.
Yeah. And I'm kind of, obviously bummed out, and we're staying in Carmel, and I go back, and I'm not leaving till the next day. I think I'm going to Phoenix the next day. And I kept going over right next to our hotel is this market that made, had like ready-made food and sandwiches, and it was great. So I just wore it out all week. So I go there, and it's, 2:00 in the afternoon, and I grab a sandwich, and I'm waiting to check out, and I'm still just kind of fuming and leave, check out, buy the sandwich, leave. And in the parking lot, there's these two, they're probably 10-year-old girls selling Girl Scout cookies. Obviously, if you've ever seen me in person, one would assume that I enjoy cookies, and I especially enjoy Girl Scout cookies. And I had just gotten done paying the locker room guys at Pebble, and it's like, I'll buy some Girl Scout cookies. Why not? And the only thing in my wallet was a $100 bill. And it's like, well, regardless of, how much money I just burned by chunk hooking into the Pacific. Let's try to brighten up these girls' day and give them $100. And I got 2 boxes of I don't know what they're called, but they're kind of like the Reese's ones, the chocolate peanut butter with some wafer in it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. They're my favorite. And handed the girls the $100 bill. And I remember vividly one of the girls walking over to her mom and saying, what do we do? What do we do? This guy just gave us 100, like as if, okay, well, we have to calculate the change. And I, obviously just said, no, it's for you guys to keep. You can split it. Thank you so much. And made the short walk back to my hotel, crushed the sandwich. I think at the time I crushed the sandwich, I ate almost 1 full box of the Girl Scout cookies as well. I turned the golf on, and I realized like 18 that day is playing the hardest it's ever played. It's averaging like 5.6. So yeah, I went from, after making bogey, I think I went from like 22nd all the way up to like 15th. And then shortly after that, I obviously get the text that I make a whole bunch of money. And I was good. The Girl Scout cookies certainly helped.
It was 96,000, I think I read.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's plenty. That is plenty. I can do a lot with that. I don't do really anything with it, but if I wanted to, I could. Yeah.
Did you go back and buy more Girl Scout cookies right after you got the text?
No, I didn't. I figured 2 boxes was enough, because I'm pretty sure, I think there might have been like maximum 3 or 4 left when I left the next morning in one of the boxes. One of the boxes had totally been crushed. Yeah, I didn't need any more Girl Scout cookies. That's for damn sure.
Oh, Gary, and the Big Rig is his nickname. I mean, we saw this physique come out at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. This is where I tell people all the time, I won on the PGA Tour, and I won and I eventually became very well liked because of the spring break stuff. But man, you became an internet sensation after this Waste Management Phoenix Open. Talk to us about how it started the night before, and then you and Joel Dahmen, y'all just schemed up just great television.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the full rundown if you're okay. Yeah, if you're okay with this, might take 20 minutes to get through. So this starts. I think I was maybe 4 or 5 under after Friday. And this starts on Friday because I get paired Friday night. We get a text with Keith Mitchell and somebody else. I think we were still in threesomes. And Keith immediately upon us getting our tea time text realizes we're together. He says, we have to do something. We have to do something on 16. And then, I say, obviously, Keith, I'm so excited. Sure, bud, whatever you think, we can have a little bit of fun on 16. Yada, yada, yada. About 15 minutes later, he goes, why don't you just take your shirt off? And I immediately say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not. And then he thought I was worried about the fine. So then he spent the whole evening and the better part of the next day, Saturday morning, raising money from my fellow tour players to pay my fine. It's like, dude, I'm not worried about the fine. I don't want to be the guy that took his shirt off on 16 at Scottsdale. To hasten the story up just a little bit, I played very poorly on Saturday, as you can see. Now, Joel and I are teeing up in a twosome off 10 on Sunday. I played poorly on Saturday. I'll never forget we got to that tee, and I think I just birdied 15 to get the honor from Keith and whoever else was with us. And I teed off, and I hit it on the green probably to like 20 feet. And I remember then he goes – and I'm just standing over by my bag, and he kind of walks, he hits a decent shot and walks back to his bag. And he's staring at me like, you remember what I said? We're going to do, no words were spoken, but I could tell by the look that he was trying to get me to do it. And I was just shaking my head doing this, like, no chance, not doing it. So I did. I walked up there and I 2-putted and we went about our day. Fast forward, I'm now in 60th someplace. And the text comes in Saturday night that I am paired with just Joel Dahmen, last group off the 10th on Sunday. And then Joel doesn't,
which is
Joel
a death
goes,
march.
Which is a death march. Yes. Very, very long day. Joel doesn't go do it as direct as Keith does. Joel, about an hour after we realized we're playing together, we hadn't spoken or nothing. And I see that he has tweeted, if this gets enough retweets or likes, Harry Higgs is going to give the people what they want and take his shirt off on 16. And I didn't even text him, nothing. I saw him the next morning and I'm like, dude, really, why you got to do that? I'm not doing this. I'm never doing this. I will never, ever, ever, ever do it.
He's just planting the seed.
He is. And he was trying to be all coy that, I didn't put a number to it. We could have said it needed 1 million retweets to do it. And it's like, dude, come on. So we're last off freaking 10. Twosome, and I remember teeing off, hitting the fairway, going about our day, and then by the time we got to the 10th green, so we had 5 holes until we got to 16, or maybe 6 holes. I'm not great at math. And by the time we got to the 10th green, every green and tee, multiple people, but at least someone was screaming out, did it get enough retweets? Are you guys going to do it? Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off. And everybody around that I could hear that said it. And then if I noticed them, I was just saying, no, absolutely not. I never will. We get to 16 and they're all chanting, take your shirt off, take your shirt off, show some skin, show some skin. Joel goes first, hits a great shot. I'm all amped up and I fly it over the green. This is a freaking putt for par that you guys are seeing.
This is not for birdie.
No, this is a par. I made a par on the hole. So I juice it up. I don't think I flew the green. I think I one-hopped over the green. I get back there, and I have a really poor lie. I ain't chipping it in front of all these people. So I grab my putter, whack it up there, make sure I get it at least onto the green. Obviously, it goes about 12 feet. Joel's shot had ended literally on the same line about a foot further away. So Joel goes first. Joel leaves it short from about 13 feet for birdie. And I had some choice words for him under our breath, that only us could hear. And then, so now it's my turn, right? I've got a 12 some odd foot, whatever it is, putt for freaking par. And as I'm reading the putt and as I get over it, everybody is just chanting, take it off or show some skin, right? It's 30,000 people just chanting one thing. The problem was that as soon as I hit the putt, after getting to see a little bit of the line from Joel, as soon as I hit the putt, I knew it was in the hole. And I swear to you, it took what felt like 2 minutes for it to go in. So I swear I felt like I had 2 minutes to decide in this moment, like, are you going to do this? Are you actually going to do this? No way I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I told everybody I wouldn't do this. I don't want to be the guy that does this. Maybe I will do it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. And then obviously as it's dropping, and to clarify, as you can see, I never actually took mine off. I only lifted my shirt, but I obviously lifted my shirt. And then kudos to Joel after I go and get my ball out of the hole, I turn around. And he is
what a good
fully taking his shirt off. So he's a good man. He did not let me do that alone. We enjoyed it. And it's really about this time we realized, obviously, there's beers flying. It's like, oh, we got to get off this hole. This is not really that safe. And then we just kind of mosey through the tunnel on 17. We put our clothes back on, and we finished the rest of the day.
Oh God, man, Harry, that is an all-timer. I mean, it's an all-timer. It's a top 5 moment on the PGA Tour, whether people like it or not. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan couldn't have directed this better than this. It's just beautiful.
Probably not. We get into the tunnel too, and Joel's got the Netflix people following him, and we kind of stop. And literally, Joel has to put his clothes back on. We have to like button our, tuck our shirts in, do our belts up. And the Netflix guys after the round said, "Look, guys, we've been following. This was the first year that we've been following it for 2 months. We never thought we would hear 2 players while playing a golf tournament say, 'Oh shit, we need to put our clothes back on.'" They had a good bit of fun with it. I mean, we all had a good bit of fun with it. It was, for a while there, it annoyed me also that, as the year went on, people would ask, it's like, guys, I'm not doing that. I'm never doing it again. And I would never do it anywhere other than there anyway. I mean, I was peer pressured by Keith and Joel, but also 30,000 people that were in the stands. Like, if you don't have 30,000 people surrounding a hole, there's no chance that I ever do this. I'm not doing it when there's 10 people around. I mean, and I will not, hand to God, will not ever do that again.
Well, I think that's why you go no buttons on the shirt, just to give us a little skin, just a taste of what has happened and what potentially could be.
I don't need to leave anything to imagination anymore. Everybody's seen it. Yes, it was. It turned out to be a pretty wild day.
Round of applause. So good. That's why everybody loves Big Rig. It's pretty incredible. And you talked right before we got into all this, just the expectations kind of you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And, you didn't play your best golf in the years after, whether it was expectations or that positive mindset that you carried into the golf course, which made you successful for those first couple of years and the years leading up to the PGA Tour. And you talked about kind of what you learned. And I think showing up to the Korn Ferry Tour this year, you probably said to yourself, I need to either change my mindset, change either what I'm doing, because I can't continue to try to be perfect, because that's just not who I am.
That's pretty much exactly it. Look, I've been working on it to try to snap out of the struggles that I was having, but for whatever reason, it didn't really click. I even had a few struggles on the Korn Ferry Tour earlier in the year, or super early in the year in the Bahamas. I played okay, and then I didn't really have all the skills that I wanted to have in a couple of the Latin America events, and I think it was Savannah. Played really pretty poorly, and that was the time where it was like, all right, we just I missed 3 cuts in a row by 5 or 6, and it's just like shaking my head. I'm so much better than that. Even when I'm not when I don't come with all the skills that I'd like to come. Like I still just, and again, you don't want to attach it to a result and a number, but I still should be able to compete and try to have the highest finish possible come Sunday. So that was, and then I had a little bit of time off, wasn't in a few events, didn't play a couple Korn Ferry events, didn't get into some of the PGA Tour events. And I guess just got to kind of thinking and kind of, preparing, what am I going to do? Certainly my skills, full swing, driving, short game, putting, everything else was, improving. There was a lot of hard work put into it. And then, Kansas City a couple weeks ago was just like,
you're
all
home.
right, man, I feel like I am prepared. Like everything is in a good spot and I am prepared to play and compete to win. And I did, man. It was Thursday afternoon. I remember finishing up my warm up and just walking the very short distance over to the first hole. It was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to play some good golf. And then I just had the brief thought that's like, let's jot down a few things that I'm going to do that have nothing to do with the result that I would like to accomplish over the next 4 days. Wrote those down, teed off, looked at, just in my yardage book, looked at them almost every other hole, and just tried to stay kind of, I guess, quote unquote, true to that. And I saw how that I wrote, the first one was each shot needs to have a clear intent. Second was there needs to be a rehearsal to match that intent. Kind of this is all pre-shot. God, what was the third?
Don't take your shirt off.
Yeah, don't take my freaking shirt off. The fourth was accept. Why am I forgetting the third? Oh, third was positive thought. I need to have a positive thought, whether it be a recall that I've hit a shot like this already before, or just like plainly and simply what I want to have happen is going to happen, or I'm the best, something positive before I walk in and hit it. And then the fourth was accept. And then I added Sunday. I had a chance to win, and obviously I'm super nervous. This is the town I grew up in. This is 10 minutes from home. I have countless people here supporting me, so I'm super nervous. Don't want to let them down. I wrote down kind of 2 footnotes: was remember to breathe, and that this is a marathon and not a sprint. As you know, Smylie, you're a winner. That Sunday, man, even when you have a great chance or, you run them down from behind, like so much can happen in 18 holes of golf. So you got to just kind of stay locked in and clued in. Obviously that was some version of a blueprint, and I ran it back last week as well. And I was super proud of myself last week, even more so. I would have said I did a much better job. I would have said if those 4 things that I did, I would have graded it solidly at a B in Kansas City. There were a few shots that maybe I was a little waffly on intent, maybe a few shots that I had a couple negative thoughts creep in that I didn't, kind of let pass and then add a positive right before I hit it. But this last week I did, I would have said I was in the A range, where there might have been 1 or 2 where I didn't have intent. And then I started Saturday this last week. I lost a ball left in the rough, made double, and was like totally at peace with it, which is not normal for me. I was like, okay, well, this is just part of the story. I'm still going to win this golf tournament, but this is just part of the story. And then I was bummed out. I didn't close the deal in regulation. Had a putt from probably 60 some odd feet. If I'm down in 2 for birdie, I win. And like, again, I was totally at peace the 2 holes in the practice round, other than the fact that it was par 5 straight up the hill and I was pretty tired of walking it. I was like totally cool with whatever happens. Like if I get beat, great. If I win, great. I'm just this is another couple holes where I get to kind of test myself and see how good I can do in kind of staying in my own little world, my own little bubble, and let's check off the things on my list and see what happens. And there was some magic that happened both weeks, and I think that was just because I was in a good frame of mind.
We got to roll in this magic because it's a shame this wasn't on live TV because it's probably one of the better shots hit on an 18th hole. And this was to force a playoff, correct, Harry?
Yes. At the time, I was 3 back. What I did not know was that the guy that was winning had just bogeyed 17. So now that this goes in, we wind up tying. Which
so
this is a lot of luck.
Back.
Yeah, and you need a lot of luck, as you know, Smylie, to win.
Yes.
This is like the all-time.
How far
luck.
Is this?
I think it was about 83. I had paced off about 70 where I wanted to land it, just below a ridge, and then run it up there. And then it landed.
What in the world?
Yeah, it landed about 15 short of where I thought. It was the worst lie that I had all week in the rough, and I was trying to keep having a positive thought, but my positive thought was just like, big swing. Let's try to get it to land on the green and get it back in the little area where the flag was, because if I get it up and down, I'm going to finish in a tie for second. So I take a big old swing, and I as soon as I hit it, I'm yelling, go, 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 land on the green, land on the green. It lands.
It just keeps going.
It lands on the green. I know it's going to have a ton of topspin, and I can kind of see it as it crests the hill. Like, okay, it's at least in the same area, same level as the hole. I figured it was going to be about 8 feet short because I landed at about 15 paces short of where I wanted to. There were some grandstands surrounding it, and the cheers get louder and louder and louder. And we're walking up, and in my mind, it's just like, why are they still getting louder? This has got to be short. It's got to land short. And sure enough, it kind of crescendos, obviously, into just a massive roar. And I believe,
so cool.
As I'm high-fiving Irwin, it was like, holy that actually went in.
Is that Matt?
Went in? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you had Matt caddy for him. He's the best. He used to caddy for Tom Lovelady.
Yes. We've got some good Tom stories.
I bet.
We've gotten some good Tom stories. But
That's amazing.
It's dumb luck, right? And then I was fortunate that Tanner Gore was his name. And all credit to him. Monday qualifier had a 2-shot lead. I think he went out and shot 3 under, just dumb luck like this, running him down and catching him. But that's kind of the stuff you need to maybe get your career back on track. And certainly just to win one week, you need some help.
And if I can make any recommendation to the Blue Hills Country Club, let's put a plaque there. Let's just put a plaque there right at the fairway at 18. Yeah. This is where Harry Higgs missed the number by 10 yards and made an eagle to eventually force the playoff and win.
Now that you say it wouldn't shock me that hopefully I'm not there for the tournament ever again. That's kind of how it goes when you went on the Korn Ferry Tour. Like, hey, we don't want to ever see you again. But I will be at Blue Hills many, many times. I wouldn't be shocked if there is something there that's a little remembrance. Maybe cut the rough too that was there. God, it was a bad lie. I got some real good luck with lies. That was not
tell.
one of them. Yeah, that was not one of them.
When you took that big swing, I was like, "Ooh, that's the old knuckleball sandwich."
Yes.
And last theatrics we got to show is in the playoff, that 18th hole in Knoxville, 18th green, eagle putt, closed the show. Yeah. What happened on this one?
Well, I had hit it basically in the same spot. That was the third attempt that I had it. Each one was getting a little closer. The first one in regulation was in the fringe. The next one was about 10 feet behind that I could not believe didn't go in. I didn't have it like just wiggling left at the end. And then that one obviously drops. So I knew the read, and this green is crazy. They had 4 pins in the same basically 3-yard wide radius. Gotcha. And I would say that putt is probably it flattens out more towards the hole, but it's probably a 6-7% slope the whole way down. So it's a wild putt. You just literally get it started, and there's not much break. It just kind of like wiggles back and forth both ways. So each time that I hit it, it looks like it's going to go in the hole. The first time I almost de-greened it in regulation. The second time, maybe a little too hard, just misread this little like left wiggle right at the hole. And then that one was just on the right edge. And I'm just standing there watching it like, all right, if it does what it just did, this is in. And sure enough, it just nods left and catches the hole. It was nice to get that one in because Frankie had probably 13, 14 feet. He hit a great 2 shots for eagle. Now he had to play about 4 or 5 feet of break, so it was not an easy putt to hole. But it was, man, I guess I got a flair for the dramatic these last couple of weeks.
Let's go, Harry.
Yeah.
Back to back.
It's been wild.
And the only thing that could stop him was just a little procedure on the side of his face that you can see here.
Yes, you can still see it, I'm sure.
Yes, we can definitely still see it. It's right on the west coast of South America right now. All right, so you're close to the Battlefield promotion, winning one more time. You're out on the PGA Tour for the rest of the year. How do you navigate the rest of the year? Because I imagine you're going to probably have some opportunities to play on the PGA Tour with your status as well as sponsors invites. How are you going to because you can either go eggs all in one basket. Let's just try to get this win, try to get number 1 on the Korn Ferry Tour points list, which gives you into the players. I think there's other things that get you
US
as well.
Open too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, where's your mind stand on this?
Yeah, I would say I really haven't decided just yet.
Yeah.
But certainly I would say that I have to, continue to play the Korn Ferry Tour with the goal of finishing number 1 at the end of the season, because it's 1 versus 2 is rewarded a whole lot different. 2 to 10 is about the same darn thing, minus maybe one or two more starts based on obviously your position. We were just married a little over 3 weeks ago now, and my goal.
Congrats.
Thank you. My goal post marriage was to have on either tour have some great results to kind of shore up my playing status for next year, and then take a honeymoon, not like most golfers do, which is always has to be in December because that's when we're not playing.
Which is not a good honeymoon time.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you got to go somewhere. And I've never been to Europe, Smylie. So my goal was to have some great weeks and start planning a honeymoon and maybe just vanish for 2 weeks. So we're going to do that. We're looking at kind of the middle weeks of July. We've already started a little bit of planning.
Great.
But in that does still allow me, I think, 2 or 3 more Korn Ferry starts. And then maybe I do play. I think I'll be close to getting in on my number. And I would assume I have a decent chance of getting an exemption now, maybe Detroit and John Deere, and then just kind of vanish for 2.5 weeks. And then rest, recharge, obviously enjoy the life that I'm going to, have started with my new wife, and then get back, and then I'll probably hunker down and play the Korn Ferry Tour and try to get that number 1 spot. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously nice to have these results. I remember my wife winning Kansas City and, hug and kiss off the green after I won. And then she said, does this mean we get to do the honeymoon now? And I was like, I might need 1 more result to really lock this in. And then sure enough, the next week I win again. And I remember grabbing my phone before all the hoopla starts and texted her an expletive or 2. I said, let's plan that bleeping honeymoon.
Let's go.
So we're gonna enjoy that for sure. But yeah, I maybe do 1 or 2 PGA Tour events. I would imagine I'll get some starts in the fall too. But try to get that number 1 spot because it gets rewarded very, very nicely.
It sure does. And you just got to love it when a good plan comes together. And congrats to you and your bride as well. I know that'll be a very fun honeymoon. Europe's great. And I think Europe will be excited to see a very nice deep V-neck and some Ray-Bans of Harry Higgs making his way down and probably eating some nice thin crust pizza over there.
The only thing that I wanted out of the honeymoon was I wanted to eat a bowl of pasta in Italy. Which I would assume also, there's some pizza involved too, but
we'll take the Parmesan cheese. Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of pepper on there too. We'll take red pepper. Yeah, sure. Come on, a little white red wine to pair it with. Yeah, why not?
Yep. I'm not even a big wine guy, but I could see myself drinking plenty of it in the roughly 2+ weeks that we're there. We're gonna try to make a stop at Wimbledon too. I've never done that.
Oh, good for y'all.
Yeah, it's. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. I've been playing professional golf for 10 years. I've never taken voluntarily taken 2+ weeks off in the middle of a season, but boy, am I excited to do that.
Just go do it, man.
Just vanish, baby.
Get that face all healed up and
the
covered
face
up.
will look a lot better by then. Yeah.
Go play well the next couple weeks, months, and we'll definitely be watching, cheering you on, and we look forward to seeing that picture of a bowl of pasta on your Instagram.
Yes, that will be bowl of pasta, a glass of red wine. Perfect.
All right, Harry. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
You got it.
Play well.
Thank you.
See ya.
Appreciate it, Smylie.
Man, what a fun conversation with Harry Higgs, spanning so many different directions. I was just sitting in the background enjoying every moment of that, going from, some truly heartfelt thoughts on Grayson Murray. And I love his addendum to what he originally said in the wake of his win at the Visit Knoxville Open, of just saying something nice to yourself as well. So I thought that was really cool. And then going from Girl Scout cookies to the WM, reliving that. I mean, he just is such a fun conversation. So very appreciative to Harry for taking the time. But now we transition to, as promised in our episode to open the week, our RBC Canadian Open one and done picks. We did not file at that moment. I wasn't ready. I have back-to-back missed cuts now. You're opening up a little bit of a lead here. You got 22.3 points last week for Justin Rose. I got 0 for Austin Eckroat. So you now have 2,391 points and change, and I have 2,152. So let's go. It's a close gap, but I need another win. So here, let me start us here. Okay. I'm going to give you everybody on this odds board that's 30-1 and shorter.
Dude,
so we'll start
did you see Rory's odds compared to the next best?
I sure did. Those look like Scotty odds to me.
It's like plus 350, plus 400, and the next guy's plus 16, plus 18, I think.
That's correct. So we'll work our way down from 30-1. Adam Scott is 30-1. Sam Burns, 25-1. Cam Young, 25-1. Shane Lowry, 25-1. Alex Noren, 22-1. Corey Connors, 22-1. Sahith Theegala, 18-1. Tommy Fleetwood, 16-1. And Rory McIlroy, plus 360, which is, 3.6-1, or however you want to quantify that. It's short. It's very, very short. So those are your kind of contenders. I am picking first here. I need a big momentum shift, but I also need like an inspirational story. I need something to get the fans of Charlie Nation, back believing again. And here's how I'm going to do it. We saw Tommy Fleetwood come up so short last year in this event in the playoff in search of that first PGA Tour win. I'm believing this year. This is the year when Tommy Ladd is going to get it done, get his first PGA Tour win. I'm taking Tommy Fleetwood to win the Canadian Open.
Okay. I love it.
I love that you love it.
Yeah.
I love it when, although to be fair, I think you've said you love it to every pick I've made thus far, which is very kind of you and gracious, but I'm not so sure it's actually a compliment these days. So
it's a good fit. I've already taken Tommy. So he wasn't even on my board of guys I was considering, even though he's second or third on the odds board. But a good pick. I think the hard thing about the RBC Canadian Open is that the courses change, and that I think we kind of group players into what their strengths are versus what the course, fits as far as what their games go. But I mean, I feel like Tommy's game fits just about anywhere he goes. He's played well in Canada, so I like your pick.
Well, there you have it. Yeah. So now we have to figure out who is your pick.
I'm between three guys, and I'm between Shane Lowry, who in 2019 finished second to Rory. I'm between also Alex Noren, who's a player that you were surprised by his odds at 22-1. He has been playing good, really well this year. And I think the one thing that surprised me about his stats was that he's leading the tour in bogey avoidance. Him and Scotty are like 1-2 in that. So he's giving himself a lot of opportunities to make birdies. If it's the week that his putter, let's say, gets hot, Alex Noren could get it done. The other one is this guy, he just keeps stuffing the stat sheet, and that's Aaron Rai. He's like the sixth man that just, he's in the top 15, top 20 so often. And I don't think he's been enough in contention for people to have him as a guy that could win this week. But if you go and look at his results and look at his stats, he's a guy that could just, put it all together just really just a couple percentage points a little better in each area, and he's winning golf tournaments.
He's currently 35-1. So
35
just
to 1.
outside that 30-1 cutoff. Yeah.
I think I'm going to settle in with I was going to pick Shane Lowry. Aaron Ryan's a guy that I would like to pick, but I think I'm going to go with the safest option in Alex Noren.
Alex Noren, love that. I mean, he's a guy. I have another format I play where you pick 3 guys, and he's one of the guys that I have in that collection because
Nice.
I just, to your point, he's been playing really good. So there you have it. So Alex Noren for Smylie, Tommy Fleetwood for me. We need some mojo here. Here's how I know the picks have been going bad is that my buddy who texts me every week for picks is like, stop texting me. So it's kind of a little bit of a wake up call. Hey, we need to get back on track here. So those are your Canadian Open picks. And we'll of course be back here with a recap of the Canadian Open on Sunday night and a recap of the Hope Valley member, which by the way, as you were doing the interview with Harry, I wrote down his little notes. I'm going to write those down on my little pin sheet every day, try to stay in the zone, and then give Harry a little credit if we get this thing done.
What happens if you've just been shanking wedges and you can't think of a positive outcome? That's the only thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I know. Like staying positive gets hard when you're hitting it off the hosel. I think I'm going to put it out there in the universe. I'm going to be positive. I think we're past the wedge shanks. I think we found something on the range at Sand Hills. I feel very, very confident. If we can just, keep it in play off the tee and just hit it close, I'm getting a few shots, just get a few, make par everywhere. That'll get you somewhere in this tournament. So that's kind of the goal.
All right. Well, I think it's time for me. Rosie's ready to start playing. My old golden retriever, she said, enough of this. It's time for Charlie to wrap this thing up, and I got to go do the zoomies with old Rosie girl.
Let's wrap it up. If you're listening to this, it's time for you to take your dog out for a walk and play fetch, whatever it is that you might do. We appreciate you watching and listening, and we will be back here for the Canadian Open recap very soon. Talk to you then.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people at YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the